Well, folks, we're visiting today with Rachel Babb. She is the owner and founder of Honey. Rachel, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, I really look forward to learning about Honey. Mm-hmm. It's a salon in Morgantown, West Virginia, and what you're up to. So, yeah. Let's do this.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, and Storymaker. With the help of these sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
All right, Rachel, tell us about Honey.
Oh, Honey. Okay, Honey is my baby. We do everything, all things hair. We are focused on low maintenance hair. We do blondes, brunettes, redheads, things like that. Yeah. We tend to stay away from the fantasy colors, the pinks, the purples, those types of things. Yeah. We also specialize in damage correction services and damage prevention services. So we have a lot that focuses on hair health and scalp health and promotes hair growth, which is really awesome. Yeah. And then we love our weddings. So we do a lot of on-site weddings here in the Morgantown area. We've got great relationships with different vendors that have allowed that to be a possibility. That's and awesome. We've actually were able to win Best Hair Salon for West Virginia weddings in our first year, which was a huge stepping stone for us. And we intend to keep that going into 2025.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. Well, I love your energy. I love the passion you have for Honey. How did you get started, Rachel, in business?
Yeah.
Like you're about a year old or so?
Yeah, I mean, I'm turning 30 in March.
As far as the business goes.
Yeah. Oh, the business. Yes. The business is about a year old. And then it's kind of like, it started accidentally. I kind of stumbled into this career. It was a placeholder until I found something new, something different.
Well, take us back to that. Like, you grew up here in Morgantown.
I grew up here in
West
Morgantown.
Virginia girl.
I'm a townie, born and raised, and, private school, driven to go to college. That was the goal. I got into WU, and then I was like, what am I doing here? Like, what do I want to study? Like, the goal was to get to college. I got to college. Like, now what? Yeah. So goal setting is something that's important to me. And I felt like since I didn't have a goal I was working towards, I needed to take a step back. I looked into alternative programs and things like that. And I settled on cosmetology because a family friend of mine had gone that route and it worked well for her. Yeah. Looking at her life and what she's achieved, I was like, oh, I could do that. Like, I want that. Yeah. So I went to beauty school and I was like, if I like it, great. If not, I'll use it to work my way through college once I figure out what I wanted to do. That point kind of found me further through this business. I went to beauty school. I started working in different salons, different business models as an employee to start, and eventually as independent. And from that, when I shifted to the independent role of being a small business within a bigger business, that's when it really came to me. And I loved creating. I liked the social media, the branding aspect, the control of my schedule, things like that. I was like, I think maybe there's more to this.
And so most people don't realize that when you work in a typical salon, you're basically a 1099 independent contractor. So you're basically renting a space in a big salon.
And then running a small scale business.
Inside another business.
Which is, it's a little bit intimidating. And to be quite honest, I didn't even realize that's what I was doing. I had a client that like referred to me as a business owner. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you own a business. And I was like, oh yeah, I do. Like, I have a business license. Wow. Like, I run and I operate a business, but my mindset was just different. I was a hairstylist working in a different business model. Yes. So I moved into business ownership without really realizing it. Yeah. And then I decided to take it seriously. My career is one that in different times has not had the best reputation. And so it became my goal to elevate the perception of the industry and the things that I was doing so I could feel more confident in myself.
I love that. Yeah. And so how long did you work? How many years did you work as an independent contractor?
As an independent contractor? About 5 years. And that last year, I was solely dedicated to business education so that I could open Honey. So
what did that look like?
It was a really awesome experience. Yeah. I had a salon owner at the time, and when I started working for her, my intention was to get out of the field. Yeah. But she came to me about a month in, and she was like, Rachel, if this is your last stop, I'm happy to have you, like, for as long as you want to stay. She was like, but if this is your last stop, you're not reaching your full potential. And I was a little offended. Wow. I was like, how? You don't know me. Like, you know, this is what I want. I've created the job that I want. I'm happy with it. Like, I don't want to go anywhere from here. And about a year later, I had a conversation with her. I was like, hey, I'm opening my own salon. And it was just the two of us, and our goals are so different. So she allowed me the space to, like, build my goals, to build my dream, to take my educational classes, to talk to clients. Like, I didn't have to hide it. And I built my entire salon with her support.
You got a little bit lucky, I think.
I did get very lucky with her.
Almost as a mentor. So you said education. So did you take classes? Was that online? Business classes? Tell us about that.
So I got involved with an industry-specific business coach about 8 years ago. And I did her coaching. She coaches individual hairstylists, booth renters, and commission employees to, like, you know, to take their business serious. And I did that program for about 5 years. And then she came out with a salon leadership program. So her leadership program was 12 months. And I took that the year leading up to Honey.
That's amazing.
Now I've shifted to a different program that's more focused on, like, numbers in the business side of things. So I'm working with a different coach now, but yeah, she was the one that kind of got me started.
You're kind of, just really blowing my mind a little bit, because I'm an advocate for a business coach. I've had a business coach for a number of years, and I'm a proponent of that. Yeah. So hearing you say, that's how you kind of got started, is learning this trade in the industry from a coach is fantastic, and realizing that you had to actually, to expand, get a different coach. Yeah. And I love that. So thank you for sharing that. I think that sometimes needs to be celebrated. A lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, especially starting out, feel like they're on an island sometimes and being by themselves. But the point is, and you just beautifully eloquently stated, that you don't have to do it alone. There are people out there that are able to help you. Yeah.
And that's the number one thing I feel like that I was warned about going into business, is how lonely it is.
Yes.
I haven't felt that yet, but I think that's been intentional on my part. Like, I've created places and put myself in spaces where I had support to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love the story, and I love the inspiration and how you actually got into what you're doing. It's not that it was an accidental entrepreneurship route, but you kind of played a hand that led you to that, and you didn't even know it at the time.
I did not know.
But here you are as a small business owner, and I really think that your story is compelling. So let's get back into Honey. Yeah. Specifically, what are some of the products or services, I should say, that you're known for?
So we use Davines products across the board. Davines is an Italian line, and I spent a lot of time researching them. They are family owned. I mean, they're a corporation, but they have those family core values. They care about the little guy. They're never going to sell out and, like, sell their products at Ulta or Sephora, which is important for us, for our clients to, like, support us by buying our products in our salon. And that helped with that diversion. They are very, like, they do everything that they can to be environmentally friendly. The cost of, like, or not the cost, I'm so sorry. The amount of plastic that they used is very minimal. The way they ship things, like, they're a B Corp, which means they, like, have to do their part in providing environmental sustainability from year to year, and they have to get recertified in that every year. They're gluten-free, vegan. Like, for the most part, I think there's two products that are not vegan, but the rest of the line is completely vegan. So it is truly the best for me and my stylist using the products. It's super low amounts of chemicals whenever we're talking about the colors and those types of products.
Because you're being exposed to it, on a daily basis.
Yes, exactly.
Not just the customer.
So that's important for me and my team long term to, like, cut out any chemicals as much as possible. And then also for the client too. I know that they're taking home products that are excellent. Their ingredients are sourced properly in a way that's good for the earth, that's good for them, and great for their hair. So we also do, like I said, a lot of treatments, and those treatments come from a company called Breezeline Blowout. I used to educate for them a few years back, and it's just an incredible service. It's a magic potion for your hair. It's going to improve the overall integrity of your hair, cut your dry time by 50%, eliminate your frizz by 75%. Like, it's just awesome across the board. Yeah. And they have just come out with, they're calling it Brazilian Blowout Free, but it's free of formaldehyde and all of these harsh chemicals that they were able to eliminate from the original solution. So we're super excited to bring that into the salon, promoting that health consciousness.
Yeah, love it. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
Folks, we're back. We're visiting with Rachel Babb. She's the owner of Honey. It's a wonderful salon here. She's in her first year, wrapping up the first year here in Morgantown, West Virginia. Rachel, if I asked you to tell your 30-second pitch, in other words, when you meet somebody for the first time, they say, "Hey, Rachel, what do you do?" What do you tell them?
Okay. We serve women who are constantly spending their time and energy giving to others and asking nothing in return. We want to create a space for them to give back and create an environment where they can feel comfortable being like who they are, where they can relax, recharge, and renew themselves so that they can continue to do what they do best.
I love it. Yeah, and you didn't even mention the word hair.
I know.
And that's so cool. I like it. You got it down.
The smallest part of what we do is the hair.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's really cool. What would you say is the thing that you're most excited about right now for Honey?
I think for 2025, really solidifying my team. I've got a really great group of women. My one stylist, Jade, has worked with me for a year now, and then we've just added Allie and Amber. Yeah. Allie and Amber are in a unique position where they both have experience in different states, but they are new to the area. So they have a lot of availability and a lot of experience, which you don't typically find. So really just solidifying the connections between each other, identifying our strengths and weaknesses, and then figuring out what we need to do to create a better place from there.
Yeah, it sounds like you're focusing on the culture of your business.
Yes.
Even though it's fledgling, still a young business in terms of longevity, it sounds like you're paving the way to have a long runway here.
Doing my best.
I think that's really cool. So you talked about the amount of employees you have. What about geography? Where do your customers come from?
So a lot of our customers are nurses, teachers, and moms. I think that kind of falls in line with what I said in my sales pitch. Those are typically women that are giving and giving and giving, whether it's to their children or to their patients or to their students, We sit right between both hospitals. Mon General and Ruby are a 3-minute drive to us. Yeah. So it's perfect for nurses just getting off their shifts and coming over from the hospital.
That's wonderful.
Our intention is to eventually be open at 7:30 in the morning so that nurses coming off night shift who want to keep their routine of staying up, which is common for them. I've asked about that, that they can just pop over to the salon and get their hair done instead of going home and killing time and coming back later. Yeah, so we're really focusing
There's a novel idea. Listen to your customers and provide what they're asking for, what they need. I love that idea. That's very cool. Since you've owned your business, what's the most interesting thing you've kind of come across so far?
I think that it's its own entity. Like, it truly is. Like, it decides for me. Like, I have an idea of what I want things to look like and how I want things to go, but I have to listen to it and where it leads me and where it wants to take me. So I had thought that this first location is a stepping stone and that I want to be bigger and I want to expand. But I've had a lot of feedback this year from clients where they've said, we are coming here because we like that it's small. We don't feel like we're lost in the mix of things. We like that we can sit and interact with the other clients and have conversations, and it's not like loud and chaotic and crazy. And I'm like, oh, maybe this space is exactly what I need.
Yeah, describe your space. Like, how does it feel? What's the vibe?
Yes, it is very light and open. You walk in the doors, we've got 4 skylights in the space and like these really funky black chandeliers. I don't know how to describe them. I promise they look good. Hanging into the open space. Our ceilings are kind of vaulted, so very high. Muted colors, everything so that it can be very relaxing, nothing overstimulated, minimalist. We try to have plants in there because I feel like that's good, but I kill them. So sometimes we have dead plants in the salon. No, but it's just a really beautiful space. I had incredible designers that helped me with it and helped bring my vision to life.
Yeah.
And that
Talk
was
about
really
that
awesome.
process. How does that go? I mean, we walk into environments in businesses oftentimes, and we take it for granted, like, oh, this is a cool vibe or whatever. And how does that? It just doesn't just happen. You have to plan and think about that. Walk us through that a little bit of that.
So a lot of that is rooted in what I learned from my business coach. She's very heavy on the branding, very heavy on experience, very heavy on identifying your target market and then serving them, creating for them. And so that's how it started. I knew that I had a vision, but I didn't think I could execute it myself. So I met with the design team just to talk. Like, I'm in the process of getting funding. I don't have a location yet, but I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know what that costs and things like that. So we met to talk about my vision and like pricing and whatnot. And they said, you know what? We have a space upstairs. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you want to look at it? So we walked upstairs and I ended up renting my salon from my building owner who owns the design company I was working with. And they took care of everything, and they helped me bring that vision to life. So I was telling him, I was like, I want something open. I want something light. I want something with a shampoo area that's kind of enclosed and a little bit darker so that when you're back there, people aren't staring at you. I don't know, as a man, if you've experienced this, but when you're laying back in a shampoo bowl, you look terrible. Like, you've got this big cape on you, your chin's right there, and so just having that in a separate area of the salon where people can kind of relax. There's no bright lights in their face, anything like that. Yeah. They were like, oh, we have that. Like, that's upstairs. And we were able to kind of create that. We put like a little false wall in, but our sinks sit in an alcoved area where it is a little bit darker.
Just
and a little
being
bit more
mindful
relaxed.
of that and understanding like what you were trying to create and actually ending up with that kind of a concept is really powerful. It's very impressive. So thanks for sharing that. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back. Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Voted best in Mountaineer Country for their reliable, high-speed fiber internet for a low cost, Breezeline is the best gig in town. Here at InnerAction Media, we rely on high-speed internet every single day to ensure we can deliver the best content possible for our clients and when we publish Positively West Virginia each week. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, fast, and they're great people as well. Learn more about Breezeline's internet, TV, and mobile options at breezeline.com. All right, folks, we're back. We're visiting with Rachel Babb. She's the owner of Honey. Rachel, how do you get new clients in? Now, you mentioned you have some stylists that are from outside of the area, out of state. How are you building this business? How do you get new people in?
A lot of it is word of mouth. We do have me and Jade, who have worked here for a while, we have solid clientele, loyal clients who refer for us. We have a referral program as well, so they're rewarded for referring to us. We appreciate their effort to support our business. And then we also use social media a lot. Instagram is one of our main platforms, and then Google. And a lot of people don't realize Google is a social media, and it wants to be treated that way. So that's where our main focus is. I would say the majority of our clients are either referred or find us on Google.
Yeah, that's great. Right now, as you're sitting here a year into your business, what's the biggest challenge you face in terms of growth?
I would say simply getting everything done. I am a planner and a little bit of an overthinker because I'm a perfectionist, and I've needed to learn how to time block, which I'm good with time management, but time blocking in a way that once the time is up, move on to the next thing. Because at the beginning of the year, I would get so involved in one area, like whether it was my website or, marketing online or, whatever it would be. And I would put all of my energy into that. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's 20 other things I need to do that I haven't even touched. So I'm learning to kind of spread out my time and touch every area just a little bit and then circle back to things instead of just diving all into one space. So I guess not putting all my eggs in one basket.
You've got a pretty significant challenge there, but it sounds like you've got a game plan and you're working the plan. So thanks for sharing that as well. What's the vision for Honey long term?
That I'm not sure. It's changed so much, I feel like. Long term is to create a space for stylists. I don't want anybody working more than 4 days a week. I want them to work consecutive days, and I want to promote a healthy work-life balance. My goal, I've had some medical issues that have caused me to, also inspired me to open Honey. I'm taking a step back. I'm no longer taking new clients. I'm scaling back behind the chair and supporting my team and building them because of that. So that's kind of how it's shifted then, because now my vision is to build them up, to give them the career that I couldn't find for myself.
Yeah, you're going from that operator to more of a vision caster or a building the culture and focusing on those things that we talked about. When you're in the business, it's hard to work on the business. Yeah. And that's something that it is a mind shift, right? You've got to get yourself out of the day-to-day, taking on new clients and relying all of the growth or leveraging all the growth on your shoulders, and you need to be able to spread the wealth a little bit and be generous with them and help. I
recently, I had set up for my team. They were struggling to understand what a target market is and how to connect, like how to post on social media to draw them in. So I created a workshop for them where like they've got pages they have to fill out to identify them, like figure out who they are as a hairstylist, who they are as a person, who they want to attract, whether that's psychographic, demographic, things like that, creating an ideal client profile, things like that. And they're looking at me and they're like, how did you do this? And I was like, it just took me an evening. I was like, but imagine if I had more time in my office, what I could do for you all, like what I could create for you all. So as much as I love and enjoy my clients and I'm holding on to the ones that I have for as long as they'll have me, I'm also super excited to shift into more of a leadership role.
Yeah, I love that. And leadership is about equipping people, by and large, there's a lot that goes into it, but equipping your team, it sounds like, the wisdom and the tools that you were given through your coaches, you're able to pass on. I'm kind of reading into that, but is that fair assessment?
No, that's 100% a fair assessment. And my one stylist, Amber, she even said to me, she was like, did this all came from your brain? And I said, to be completely fair, yes, it did, but it's because I listened to Britt Siva talk for 7 years in my ear. So I'm like, a lot of it is her too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I really like that, the fact that you're able to distill that down into your team and help equip them as part of your culture. I think that's really cool. Obviously, Rachel, I'm looking at you. I have not really gotten to know you. I've met you a couple of months ago, but this has been great to get to know you and your business. But you're a leader. You're clearly a leader. We just talked about leadership a minute ago. What do you think is one of the most important attributes of a successful business leader today?
I think transparency. And I think some business owners might disagree with me on that. But I've worked in situations or at salons where I didn't understand what was going on and no one took the time to explain it to me. And so I was frustrated. And I ultimately left one of those salons because of minor frustrations that were happening over and over again. Yeah. And now in hindsight, in opening my business, I'm picking out those pieces and I'm like, oh, that's why that was a rule, or that's why that happened. And I'm like, had they leveled with me and talked to me and explained why the rules were in place or why we were doing what we were doing, I might have been more understanding on my part. Yes. So I'm trying to give that transparency to my team too. I'm also new at being a leader. I was independent before this. I've only managed myself. So listening to them, I do a lot of touch bases where I'm making sure they're getting what they need and asking, what am I missing? And then if they have concerns, addressing them and being as transparent as I can about why I'm making my decisions and how I'm making my decision.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. John Maxwell says, leaders know the way, go the way, and show the way. And that's really what if you can sum it up, that's basically what you're saying there, and I do really appreciate the fact that you're talking about transparency. It is difficult as a business owner to be able to, just kind of open up. It's a vulnerability, I think, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think just being mindful of the fact that you've been there before, and you're like, hey, how is this impacting the team? If I don't say anything, or if I don't show this, or open up about this, how is that going to affect them? But also, if I do tell them, how's that going to affect them, right?
Yeah.
You have to have that discernment of when to be transparent and how much and so forth. So I appreciate you sharing that because that's it's very wise in terms of the way you're thinking, I believe, and I encourage you to keep going in that direction. I think it's really cool, and more business leaders need to understand the idea of transparency. Truth be told, so that's great. So, as a person who grew up in West Virginia, a townie here in Morgantown, and now a business owner, what's one piece of advice you would give to somebody thinking about starting a business?
Take the leap and be ready to run. I will say, when I was signing my lease, my building owner told me a story about the point in her business where once this happened, things were in motion and she could not stop. And she referred to it taking the leap, jumping off the ledge, And she was like, if you sign this lease, you're jumping off the ledge with me. And I was like, all right. And I think that's it. You have to make the move, get there, and then hit the ground running. Yeah. Work hard, put in the long hours, put in all of the work, the education, things that you can, and just go from there.
Yeah, that's great. I oftentimes hear people, I do some coaching and with clients or people in my circles, they'll say, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And I say, the best way to get unstuck is just to take a step. Sometimes you have to take a leap, like you just said, and I think it can be done both ways. You could take baby steps and kind of make inch closer to that, or you can just say, okay, I'm leaving this comfort and safety that I have, and I'm taking this risk, but I'm betting on myself.
And I feel like I did a little of both. It took me, the baby steps would be the year of planning.
Exactly,
and then once I signed, I'm like, there's no going back. I'm diving in. And strangely, I've not had a fear of failure because business is just failure and then adapting to it. It's like learning and changing and shifting and growing. So it's like not a matter of if I'm going to fail, it's how I'm going to change. How am I going to grow? Yeah.
What lesson can I learn? Yeah. Right. Yeah. I love that. It's very cool stuff. Rachel, we've covered a lot in our interview today, and I, like I said, I've really enjoyed getting to know you. I think you're a very bright young professional in your career here with Honey as a business owner. I think you're doing some really cool things, and I love your leadership style. Is there anything else our listeners should know about your story or Honey's story that we haven't covered?
Or Honey's story. I think it's funny because when I was building it, I felt I was building it for my clients, but it is a bigger reflection of me than what I realized. And I like that. My goal is never to be the face of the business. As I mentioned briefly earlier, I do have an autoimmune disorder that's severely impacted my ability to work at certain points, which is what's led me to this and taking a step back and things like that. But I'm losing my train of thought again. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
What was the question again?
Well, we were just talking about if there was anything else about the story that you,
Yes. So taking from that, a lot of our themes as far as being environmentally friendly, eliminating plastics, eliminating chemicals, our snacks in the salon are all gluten-free, vegan, things like that.
Great.
Those are things that shifts and changes I made in my personal life that I brought into Honey. Yeah. So that was really a cool experience to kind of get to promote health and to my team. Yeah. So they're younger, so they're getting their foot in the door, and I'm like, are you guys stretching? Are you fueling your bodies properly? Are you drinking water? I might not be doing those things, but do as I say, not as I do. They hear that a lot.
So one question, as you're saying that, the word Honey, it's not Honey Salon, it's Honey.
Just Honey.
That's your brand.
Yeah.
If you could maybe expand on that and how you came up with that name.
That was very important to me, and it was the hardest part of my business, and to be be quite frank, I picked Honey because it was the name on my list I hated the least. But I will say I was very intentional with it. I wanted something that was minimalistic. I wanted one word, easy to say, spell, and remember. I wanted something that could portray a hair salon, because when you talk about honey, you think about like the way the light reflects on it, different tonalities. You can talk about honey with brunettes or blondes or, anything in between. But it can be, soft and sweet, and it can be sexy and sultry. Like, there's so much we can do with that.
Yeah, that's very
but
good.
I just think it's really a reflection of the business. And ideally, honey is something that can be preserved. I forget how long, but they've like found it in Egyptian tombs where they could take it out and eat it. Yeah. So it's like, if you take care of it properly, it'll last forever.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Thanks for that insight into the name, Honey. As we close out our time here, again, it's been great. How can our folks get in touch with you or find you on social media, your website, and so forth? What's the best way?
So our Instagram handle is Honey WV Salon. On there, in our bio, we have a link, and it links to a link tree where you can go to. If you're a new client, it links to our website new client page. If you're an existing client, you need to schedule an appointment, there's a link right there. Our review sites, things like that. But we do all of our booking through our website, so honeywv.com. And right on the homepage, when you get there, you'll see new clients start here. If you click that button, it'll lead you through our process, tell you how to book, help you pick your stylist, and then direct you to the booking site.
That's
from
awesome.
there.
And we'll make sure we have all that in the show notes and social media, so folks can book an appointment with Honey, with one of Rachel's stylists, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Once again, our guest today is Rachel Babb. She's with Honey. Rachel, it's been an honor to have you on our podcast. I love hearing your story and the way that you were intentional with building your business and just the steps that you went through, and the leap that you finally ultimately took to really start this. So thanks for sharing your story with us, and I encourage you to keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great. Folks, this is a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on our show, drop us a line on our website at positivelywv.com. And of course, we appreciate your comments, sharing these great stories like Rachel's across your social media channels as well. And, we just appreciate the reviews. So keep that going. Thank you. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Jimmy Murray behind the controls, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, InnerAction Media, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positively.wv.com/sponsor.